We are back, continuing on our exploration of the international student experience. We have an animated group here in Raytheon Amphitheater, and we are discussing all sorts of things that we have in common about the international student experience. And we're forming new relationships here across the campus, and I will introduce our facilitators who have come from the Northeastern campus here in Boston, as well as from our other ones. That will happen after our lunch break when we start the interactive employability workshops. And the creator of the employability workshops is Dr. Julia Ivey. She is an executive professor here at the DeMoore McKim School of Business in the International Business and Strategy Group. She keeps an eye on me because she is in the next office to me. And so we like to speak a little Russian together, or I guess I like to speak Russian with Julia.
I remind that I'm from Belarus.
Yes, but her native language is Russian, that is correct. It is spoken in many countries, Julia, right? Just like English is, and Chinese and other languages. I am absolutely delighted that Julia has offered so generously to explain her model, Be Edge, and not only will she do so in this keynote presentation, but she has devoted many, many hours to creating the interactive workshops for later this afternoon. Without any further ado, please welcome Professor Julia Ivey.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming for this session, which I called Crafting Employability of Global Talents. But the right word here should be Crafting Boutique Employability of Global Talents, because I dream our students, our international students, feel special, feel boutique, feel not somebody who has to prove anything to anybody, but who can enrich the country where they choose to be. Because boutique employability, in my vocabulary, it's a pathway to employability freedom. So this is would be all my talk is about. And when Dr. Puffer invited me for this presentation, first, I was going to talk about the case study we recently conducted with my former student, Alex, who you will meet very soon. And the case study is about employability of international students, where we explored all possible challenges and we applied stakeholder approach to find where disconnect is and if it's any disconnect. I will mention about this. However, Sheila said, like, it's wonderful, Julia. It's wonderful case study, but I really want you to share BH methods at what you, how you can apply this. So this is where I am and who I am. As everybody here, I am international. And right now, I work for DeMoore McKim School of Business or at the group of International Business and Strategy. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to connect to my backgrounds. My background in psychology, where I did my first research, trying to understand internal dialogue between would me, should me, and but me or never me, like and how people make their choices and how they reflect their choices. And I did this research years ago on in Belarus, on graduates and how they make their choices, what to do next. So what's next choices. However, when I moved to the United States, I found that I need to do one more. So I did another PhD in strategy, and now this is where I am. But most important here, as you can see, I am a foreigner, and I also was an international student because my doctorate was from England. And as I already mentioned, I am a founder of BH Strategy BH strategy company, which very much focused on the question, what's next for different groups of people, graduate students, foreigners who moved to another country, veterans who re-entered the civilian world, parents from the break in their career who re-entered their next stage. So anybody who asks, what's next? What is my new territory? This is what I hope. This is who I care about. But this conference is about global talents. The question is who I, at least, define as a global talents. For me, global talents are professionals or upcoming professionals who possess and can capitalize on a multi-dimensional profile. It's exactly what our previous speakers talked about. They are multilingual, they adapted in several countries, they have experience from different environments. So I believe these people are just perfect. And what we just learned from previous presentations, they're just perfect for any company because they do have personal profile, personal capital of them understanding how to adapt and succeed in a different environments. It's exactly what the companies want, right? So they come here and they are golden for me already. They're motivated and brave. Social capital. We always talk about social capital. Guess what? They already have networks in their home country, and they know how to navigate this in language, in also habits, and everything like in the HELP, H-E-L-P, they know this at least in 2 environments. Brilliant. They have professional capital, especially if they studied in the United States, but they also know how the same topics, what they study here, worked in their previous country. Take, for instance, Z, one of our students. Yes, she is right here graduating from Northeastern University, right? And so she knows, yes, it's Z, from the country of Belarus, by the way. And she graduated with high colors from Northeastern University. She knows how it works in the United States. She also got graduate certificate from Harvard, right? Like, wow, she is brilliant here. But by the way, she also graduated from top school in Moscow and top school in UK. Like, this is a professional capital. She knows how, let's say, transportation works at least in 3 countries, right? And healthcare, and everything else. This is a professional capital. Thank you, Z. And the last one is impression capital. Yes, it's exactly what Erin said. These people are multilingual. They know how to speak in different countries. They know how to send message in different countries. And they can switch between their languages without even notice sometimes. It's what I do during my classes sometimes. I start the sentence in one language, and sometimes I kind of finish it in another. And I'm just like, I shouldn't do this. So from my perspective, they are brilliant. And it's exactly what we learned here. So they have personal capital, social capital, professional capital, impression capital, which makes them unique, boutique. So they come to the market, and they have employability freedom because they are very welcome in their own countries, and because they're so special, because we are a global economy, because right now borders are kind of like not so clear as they used to be. They are welcomed everywhere. So they applied for the job right after graduation, and they are not selected. And they think, why? Somebody who is local, who doesn't have multilingual, who doesn't have all this multicultural, who doesn't have, they are selected. Why? And they are starting to challenge themselves. And this is where we comes like in all this, you know, like in a change management cycle, they started to reflect. And they are very, very reflective. What should I do differently? What should I do to succeed? So I started to ask myself, like, why? Why did it happen? And I asked my colleague, Nick Dimitrov, who represent in my mind employers, the buyers of this talent. Like, Nick, tell me, where do they apply? And Nick gave me these 3 points. That yes, these people applying for the large companies, because these companies have better resources, well-known, look better on their resume, and they capitalize on this employment much better, right? It's much better to have brand here than some kind of local company. They're also much better in adapting these talents and helping them with very competitive resources and visas. And I also make with my, my former student Alex, we did in our case study, and this is a snapshot of what we found, what the industries they actually applied. They're kind of not just IT, as it seems to be sometimes. They're like all over the industries. Of course, still IT and finance going #1, and this is where we call is professional and business services. They're very much there. However, look at this, healthcare, leisure, and even educational services. So they go to the big companies, and these companies, for some reason, don't choose them. Why? So then they come to reflection. And yesterday we had a dinner with Sheila and with Nick and with all keynote speakers. And it was one of the students, one of our brilliant students who Rich gave us as our future talent. And I asked him to tell his story. And he said, like, he was very focused on his study. And he's doing very well. He's doing very well. If his professor recommended him, I guess he is. So he is very high in GPA, very high in all the achievements. He didn't get co-op what he wanted. And even it's undergrad who are usually much better in getting support in United States because they have 4 years to adapt. But look at our 1-year master degrees. They have 1 year. 1 year, and they have to do something miracle to get this job. So when they are not chosen, they kind of become frustrated, and they ask themselves, maybe it's my identity. Maybe I don't present myself as I should have. Maybe I should come more like as American. Or maybe no, American, I'm not going to come to American. By the way, did you see like Brookline in summer? Whatever color of the skin, all the young men are in shorts of salmon color, like all. Like you look at them, it's like uniform. Because they're trying to blend. They're trying to be like, hey, I am one of you, I'm here. So maybe I should present myself differently. Maybe I should show not just this degree, but 3 degrees. Maybe I should mention my experience in my home country. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't mention my experience in my home country because it doesn't relate to them. Should I mention where I'm from? Maybe I shouldn't mention I'm from and emphasize, actually, I am here. I am American. This is what all the questions about personal identity comes to their mind because the price they pay for this multidimensional is their buyers are not multidimensional. They are confusing. They are confusing these local buyers. The second question is they learn that networking is a big deal. And as we just saw in previous presentation, right? So it's a step number in adaptation, it's relationship and networking. But guess what? They are very well connected in their own home country, kind of like home, like their own people, but they don't have enough connections in the professional world. Who they know here? They know their professors and they know other students. But they need recommendations, they need references, they need somebody who will help them to join this new world, and they don't have this. Besides this us versus them feel, we don't talk about this in the United States, that people for international students are different. In Australia, when I was teaching, it was even much more clear. It was very clear kind of distinguish. Here, we kind of pretend they're blended, but when they come, they feel that they're different, and they share this pain. They pain that every time they feel that they're a little bit different. Even like, it's not about even color of the skin, no, it's about the accent. It's about cartoons they watched when they were children. It's where they grew up. Like 2 Asian people would feel very differently, one who grew up in New York and one who just came from Asia. In New York, it's American kid, it's no difference. But the person who just came from other countries, they do feel, because they don't have the same set of references. So they started to challenge this and just like, oh, where do I find this? The next one, of course, as I said, it would be professional capital. They know how it works in other countries, but they are not sure how they can refer this, because these buyers kind of don't care how it works in their countries. They work how it works in the United States, because they are for United States. And these graduates, they don't have this experience sometimes in the United States. And they don't have enough, because they don't have permission to work, right? So they don't have summer experience in many companies. Again, our undergrads, much more advanced here because they have co-op. Our one-year master degrees, they need this professional capital local, and they don't know what to do. And the last one, every time when they try to deliver a message, the questions, where are you from, coming from everywhere. Just like, why? I'm talking right now about project management. It's just like, where again you're from? And they're losing their confidence, especially when somebody asking them, they see this look at them. People don't understand their language. People don't understand their pronunciation. And the example of this person from South Korea who tried to speak Polish, and they just said, like, yeah, it's clear that you didn't learn it here. It's, after this, you just learned for the long time to shut up and not to even speak. And it's a kind of huge damage for the confidence. So these 4 challenges they face, and you see I put this in a circle because they kind of keep going, and they're trying to get out of this loop, and they don't know how to do this. So being one of those, I kind of challenge this question. It's just like, okay, if we know these employers theoretically want our global talents very much, but we face, again and again, we talk with people, and we know that for some reason they are not chosen. So what these employers actually want? Again, I ask Nick Dimitrov from Amazon Bound, just like, hey, Nick, you are from Amazon. This is the top of the list of our international students. What do they want? And Nick gave me this list. It's a copy-paste from Nick's email. So you see wonderful big office. By the way, it's Amazon office. I found this picture. And it's a culture fit over functional skills. Look, cultural fit, where these people are from a different culture. Focus on output, not input. How they can prove it? They don't have yet proof of that they can do this output. Again, output, both short-term and long-term. They might do, but they don't have this proof. Self-service, yes, but they are new. They sometimes have to learn how this system works, how this all works. Be honest, direct, and crisp communication. Perfect, but how you can do this if your self-confidence kind of not as strong? Data wins all wars. They do have data, but data from a different country, from a different market. It's okay to be wrong, again, confidence. Ask bold questions, again, confidence. Be authentic, it's more culture fit, and show passion for the company. So I put just 2 lists together, who they are and what the companies want, and I found the gaps in synchronization. These students are extremely wonderful, and we're all in love with them. And employers are wonderful. They really don't have, and we don't see any kind of discrimination, anything. It's nothing personal. The company wants to have output. The company wants to have a fit. The company wants to have culture which is vibrant and no drama and moving forward. Something happened, something gap. So we come to the gap. The puzzle is, and the puzzle which kind of becomes personal for me, how educated foreigners, we don't talk about foreigners who cross the, who didn't finish high school or finish high school. No, we talk about people who can deliver value. And by that time, I was top 5 of my country in management consulting. I was PhD in psychology. I was speaking not good English, but like for Belarus was fine. And I was invited for different, countries because it was emerging economy and all the grants came here. I worked in a top school, so anyway, I was fine. And I asked my colleague, my actually scientific advisor for my PhD, and I asked her, like, what do you think? Should I go? Shouldn't I go? Of course, for my family, it would be, of course, much better, and I just was suffocated because it was Lukashenko regime already. But professionally, I was fine. And she said, like, right now, when you are 35, like 34 or 33, what I was at the time, you will be fine everywhere. But when you will be 55, you want to be in the United States, not in Belarus. I was just like, thank you very much, done. So then this is how I moved to America. So we arrived, and this is my family. So my husband, who was a nuclear physicist researcher from Soviet Union, what kind of clearance who could get in United States? It's just like stop sign, right? So it was the first challenge. My son, who was 13 at that time, and he lost all his friends in his country, like teen, right? Not easy teen, I must say. And he was very much excited in the first kind of months, and became really, really, really lonely, upset, angry on everything after the first months. He just hated everything because he was the only white kid in the class, in the middle school. In the city where we could find our apartment, we could afford our apartment, he was the only one, the only white child, and speaking with a strong accent because he already was 13. My baby, my 6 years old, she was happy with everything. She didn't care where we are. Like whatever country is this, she would be fine. And me, and I put question mark because I was ready to be anybody, anywhere. I was just like, do you want me to be a teacher? Yes, my undergrad from education. Do you want me to be a professor in psychology? Yep, I am here. Do you want me to be in management? I am, because I have graduate degree in management. Like, tell me who you want me to be, and I will be there. Just give me a job and health insurance, please. This is all I cared about. And yes, we bought our car because when we moved to Connecticut, it was no way to move without a car, which was kind of culture shock for me, who came from a large city in Eastern Europe, which is famous with a very good transportation system. So zero down. This car was bought zero down because it was, yeah. So my first challenge was who I should present, how I should present myself, this identity. And of course, like industry, where I should apply. It's pedagogy, as I just said, because it's my undergrad, management, because my graduate degree was in management, or psychology, because my doctorate. Who? How do I write even this resume? And how actually I write this resume? Second, identity. Yes, I speak Russian, because Soviet Union, it was very much Russian was pushed. But my parents are from Ukraine. They came from Ukraine, they speak, like they're there, and I come back always, and my both grandparents there. So yes, but I was the only one in my family who was born in Belarus because my father was a military. So at the time of Soviet Union collapse, my parents were Ukrainian, my sister was Ukrainian, I was Belarusian. The only one. So maybe I'm a Belarusian because I'm my passport. Actually, my grandma was Jewish, so maybe like Jewish community is so strong in the United States. Maybe I should kind of like feel a little bit more Jewish than I am. And then I received my passport and green card again very soon. Just like, for the God's sake, I'm American. This is my passport. And I immediately had like, where are you from? And just like, I am from East Boston. Just like, but what before? Before Brookline. What before? Just like before Alaska. And it's just like, if I didn't want to answer this question at the beginning, can you stop, please, asking? Just no, they didn't. They didn't. They kept asking, so I just was confused how to present myself. And now, by the way, I present myself Slavic, and everybody kind of like, okay. And the last one, of course, because I was still in productive age of professionally, like how do I establish my expertise as a researcher, as an expert? Maybe it should be Belarus, but who cares about knowledge about Belarus? I was told very soon that nobody. Like the first year I was told, like, Julia, in academia. It's actually the question which I was asked in my first conference when I said, like, wonderful presentation. Entrepreneurial environment in entrepreneurial activity in unfriendly environment, the case of Belarus. The first question is it the same with Bulgaria? So I believe Nick and me, we are kind of relatives. So Belarus was not. Then maybe I just asked, okay, maybe emerging economy. Emerging economy, because I understand emerging economy. Then I looked around and I just found this place is taken. Like everybody already in emerging economy. We have many, many people from other countries who are proud about being emerging economy, not me. So then maybe state-controlled economy, because yes, Belarus is state-controlled economy. This is the area of expertise. Maybe I challenged myself, maybe generalized, okay, maybe just social capital or stakeholder relationship or something like this. And these questions were always, always in me. I always walked with my notebook trying to, and ask people, how do you see me? How do you envision me? Who I am? And like at that time, I got a job. I was lucky to get a job in University of Alaska, Southeast. I moved there in our new car just because they gave me health insurance, 401k, et cetera, et cetera. And so I started to work here, and I started to teach management. And then I started to teach strategy. And I asked, like, why do we always do strategy for the business? What is the most important business for me? Me. So maybe I should do strategy for me, applying all the same concept of strategy. And I literally trying to use this strategy concept for me, which the first one actually is core business, define the core. This is what we teach our students. So you do not start business until you clearly define the core. And if you do this, as we chatted yesterday in the dinner, cookie cutter. So if you're trying to do the same with everybody else, you are part of the red ocean. It's a bloody, highly competitive, like you have to compete with these locals. And yes, guess what? They are already ahead of you just because they watch the same movies in the childhood as the children of the parent who they are hiring you. Yeah, this is social capital. So in the personal capital, you have to define yourself differently. So you have to combine all this multi-dimensional stuff, but find their center. Because if you don't find their center, you confuse everybody. You confuse how many countries you are from, how many industries you are from, etc. Find the center. And this was my first aha moment. I defined myself that I am a strategy for psychology, navigating your competitive advantage in a low trust versus high trust environment. So everything what before, I just combine in a one crispy message. And this is what really gave me this confidence, gave me this like feeling that, yes, I know low trust environment. Try to live in Belarus. If you learn how to navigate your environment in Belarus, you can know how to navigate environment. If you know how to be foreigner in a new country, you know how to navigate low trust environment. And this is how I started to gain my kind of center, my core, and this is a personal strategy. So the second question, of course, was, okay, I know how wonderful, but how do I get a job? How do I get out of Alaska? With all my love to Alaska, I wanted to get out. So how? Yes, I was a newcomer. Look at this picture. It's like very lonely journey. And you kind of have a choice to be one of these, Russian-speaking community, which you don't even feel kind of like one of them, or like part of my Indian community, or part of my Chinese community, part of whatever community speaking that language. And honestly, it's such a comfort zone. It's such a relief. Or to get out of this, to be in the world and be a newcomer, be a stranger, be different, being perceived as a spy because you speak this other language, especially if its language is Russian. Yeah. And especially with all these movies where Schwarzenegger, like Red Square, he's just like, I am here to kill you. And yeah. and this is how we are perceived. This is how we all foreigners perceive, whatever countries we are. Because Hollywood made quite a job to establish these profiles for all of us, whatever country we perceive. So I challenged myself, what do I do? And again, being still there, doing my work, I had to publish. I was a tenure track, and I was just supposed to, I was ready to get my tenure, and I wanted to get as fast as possible to be more employable. So I chose a fast track, and I published like 5 papers a year. And I found that actually case studies, professional case studies, qualitative research, it's what kind of I liked more, because it was more real, it was more stories, it was more me, even if I did publish all quantitative stuff as well. I started to write stories started of course from Belarus company, then I moved to companies in the United States, and I found that every time when I did this, tell me your story, it was like miracle happened. We developed connections quite fast. I didn't ask them for the job. I didn't ask them for anything. I offered them. I offered them to tell their story. And this is a feel I learned feeling again, and again in every story. And when I moved to Boston, to Northeastern University, and I, again, start over, I realized that I have to establish my own kind of like core. I offered in a College of Professional Studies to do consulting case writing competition, as I called Make Your Case competition, where students did exactly these case studies, and I thought that they would just apply their knowledge. But students came to me and said, like, thank you, professor, it helped me to reach out to the employers who I became a friend. And one of the students, Marcela, she was from Colombia. And she was in a global study program, and she wanted to be in this competition, and I asked her, like, what kind of case are you going to do? Because I was already good in case writing. I wanted to help them. And she said, like, I don't know. And I said, like, why wouldn't you do a case for the company you want to become connected? You want to get in. You want to establish trust. And she said, like, actually, it's a Congress of Colombia, and it's a one congresswoman who is in charge for the program for Colombian abroad. And just like, contact her. Say that you are Northeastern students, that you are driven with the helping Colombian abroad to find the way to investment back to their countries, and see what happened. She did, and Congresswoman replied to her the same day. And then it started happen again, and again, right? So it's like, and then I had a student last year from Master of Science in Health Policy who contacted me for, volunteer for her for independent study, because she's a best friend of my daughter. She had like special approach to me. Just like, of course, Sid, I will help you. So I asked her, like, what kind of company? We first started to define her core. So we defined that she wanted to combine healthcare plus interface designed for the computers, and actually her passion was for people with vision challenges. She combined the three areas together. She defined one crispy message, who she is. Then she set a list of the companies who might be good for her, and she contacted first of them. And she was shocked. She sent me this email like, Dr. Julia, I contacted 30 companies before. I didn't ask for money. I didn't ask for employment. I just asked for internship. I just asked for my capstone internship. Nobody even replied them. But here I contacted them and I asked them, can I please tell your story? Because I am doing consulting case for my project. Please let me tell your story. And the CEO contacted her just like, yeah, please tell our story. It would be a wonderful PR for us. So this is how she opened the door, and and this is exactly what I did. And this is what I found, that social capital for international students, do not asking about visa, do not asking about the job, do not even asking for internship, because then employers feel kind of obligated. Because if they give you something, they feel like, okay, now you hope that you will get visa, asking for that you will expect me to become your sponsor. And I'm not sure that I want to promise them. So they kind of feel defensive. But when these students approach them and say, like, this is my capstone project, or I am driven with this issue, it's my heart, and I'm in making your case competition. Can you please let me tell your story, the company story, around the challenge what right now is the company facing, and trying to apply my Northeastern knowledge to deal with this challenge? I mean, free service, right? The companies usually say yes in a vast majority of cases. And if it's no, we have option number 2, option number 3, option number 4. I didn't have even once the case when students had to go through all 10 options, but I make them to make the list of 10 companies that they will apply. So this is the second one. Professional. So yes, there are 4 capitals, and it's what I tell to my students. This is a strategy. This is a strategy, baby. Strategy is not supposed to be easy. So don't expect that it's just like, okay, be prepared for, make your resume and you're all set. Be strategic. And strategy is a comprehensive stuff. So here we have 4 strategies, and we have to touch each of them in any order. But to make sure that each shelf, I tell them, is covered. So the next one was, of course, the same as students, professional. And this is my diploma, as already mentioned. I'm a Kandidat Nauk, which is a PhD, which I was extremely proud, and it's still proud, but kind of learned very fast that nobody but me proud of this, because they have no idea what it's all about. And even if I did approve this in United States, I did presentation Central Connecticut State University, and they put their stamp, etc. So I do have official in all my transcripts. It still was not AACSB accredited. It was not like EQUIS accredited, etc. And I found, like, for the God's sake, okay, I'll do one more, whatever. And I did my second PhD in Lancaster University, and I choose Lancaster easy, because first, it was AACSB accredited. Second, it was, again, accredited. Number 3, it was very highly regarded. And number 3, 4, they were okay of study away, but coming to them every year. Because I had 2 children, and I had family. I had to make money. I couldn't become 100% student. So this is my first challenge. My second challenge, of course, and it's like the last capital here, it's impression. All my friends know that the question where I'm from, it's my trigger. They just know that they shouldn't ask me again, and again. And they know that I am not Russian. I am not Russian. And I keep talking and this, and as tragic this situation with the Crimea, I had kind of a benefit, because people stopped thinking that Ukraine and Russia is the same country. Thank God. And now Belarus, again, as tragic as this happened last year, it's put Belarus on the map. And people started like, oh, Belarus actually is an independent country, which is like Russia very much doesn't want this to become really independent. So, and it's like the confidence was always, and I'm strong personality, unlike younger people, and I'm older, right? So we kind of like, I'm supposed to be much stronger. Like when I speak passionately, and I look their face, and they kind of like this, like, what do you mean here? What did you say right now? And just like, I said impact, and just like, oh, impact, and just like, no, impact or impact? And then I just like asset or asset, and it's all these words which kind of like seems to be, for me, so clear, were not sometimes clear for people. And yes, I hired the coach, and yes, the pronunciation coach, and yes, I promise myself every time to open my mouth, because in Slavic culture, we are not supposed to speak like that. We are supposed to speak kind of like this. So it's just like da 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 da. This is what polite. Like or it's not polite. So I thought, okay, I'm in a different culture. I have to speak differently, and I do my best. Still, it was very, very painful and still painful journey. Yesterday, my class, in the middle of the course, I sent them mid-course feedback to me, how we are doing in the class, because I still have half of the class to adjust this. And I ask the questions, the same questions they will answer at the end of in the trace evaluation. And it's always, regardless what I do, it's always kind of the same pattern. My highest mark is intellectually challenging and treats students with respect. My lowest, clarity in communication. And I ask, like, tell me what you don't understand. Tell me what. And they just like, but you speak with accent, professor. And Northeastern is much better. But you can imagine the University of Alaska, where I was the only speaking with accent in my campus. Yeah. But what I found solution, that actually, what we all have to do, we have to generate value for the company. If you solve the problem, they don't care what accent you have. If you provide solution for their challenge, you don't talk about what you care about. You talk about what they care about, and you provide solution for this challenge. They're fine. They will be fine. And you provide this also in a visual way. So I learned actually that if we take this case, what we developed for developing trust, but then we solve this case, which is a whole built around the challenge that these employers actually care about, the magic happened. You write short paragraphs, you make it visual, and they're fine. And you feel confident, and they feel, and you kind of build the bridge. It's all about building the bridge. You see, so it was still me, and it's kind of like learning like almost 20 years. This is what kind of took me to all learn this. So when I look at this formula, what emerged here, so elucidate your core, develop trust, generate value, excite with passion, and I put what Nick gave me as an expectation of stakeholders, so the miracle happened. So this bridge was developed, this bridge between employer and foreigners, what employed, because what the employers really want, they want boutique employment. They want tailored employment, something what made specifically for them. They don't want the best student in the class. They don't care really of the highest GPA. They don't even ask like 3 years experience. It used to be, it's obsolete already. They want you to be made for us. And this kind of way make you to us authentic, passion, synchronized with the company identity, culture, measures, and communication. And this is a picture what I keep reminding myself. The synchronization, it's not mirroring each other. It's playing together. It's like feeling like you start, I know how you move, and I move in your kind of like following you in my own way. But together we make this synergy. And this is what about me. Before I move to the Alex and her story, any questions? Let's maybe do some questions right now, and then I will tell you about Alex and how she developed this. Any questions? No questions? Oh, thank you.
Oh, wait now. You have a question. Professor Buget.
I'm just interested in the overall framework, and I'm interested in the kind of philosophy behind the framework in the sense of what business is and how it functions, and how you've arrived at the kind of model and the conclusions. Your background is obviously a multinational background, and
Yes.
the United States isn't the only place where you've been thinking about the world of employment and work and business and everything else. is this a culturally specific model that you're proposing, or is this model applicable in your opinion to employers in a range of places, including other countries?
Thank you very much for the question, because I ask myself many times this question. And I believe, of course, it asks for fundamental research to validate this, because I also, for each of these, okay, I will be back to Alex, and because it's such a story, but I developed these 4 frameworks: personal, social, professional, and impression. I just combine them together as based on how people make their psychology of choices. But then I combine with strategy what each kind of component of the choices. Who am I? It's a choice number 1. How do I outreach a new environment? It's a choice number 2, which is social psychology and social capital. What kind of value do I want to contribute, generate? It would be number 3 choice. And number 4, it's how do I impress? Because again, our international students are very often shy, and they are told by everybody, be more upfront, go upfront, be upfront, and then they try. They sometimes have a huge pushback, like you go out too aggressive. I got this feedback, like you are too direct, Julia. Like, I understand it's your culture, but too direct. And I'm just like, okay. And of course, it pushed me back very much. And I kind of like, okay, I should be like mild and kind of like this. And the same as we say about other students. We say like, oh, these students are so aggressive what they want. Or these students, this is the impression management. And impression strategy also have their own 4 strategies. My point is that for each of them, they have their own knowledge, which makes the concept quite comprehensive. But from the overall perspective, it's emergent strategy, and emergent strategy is my kind of passion, obsession. And it's effectuation, Saras for entrepreneurship, but I apply this, and Blue Ocean, but I apply this to people at the what's next stage. Did I answer your question?
Yes, can I just go back on one specific word though that you used?
One more, please. Not without a mic.
Sorry. Thank you, Sheila. Can I just come back on one particular word? Could you elaborate on contrarian? I mean, I think it's a tremendous concept, but you talk about the qualities and the demonstration of passion,
yep.
And you use the word contrarian within that context. In what kind? Contrarian, I think it was.
It was Nick's word.
It was Nick's word, right? Okay.
Oh, so it was Nick's word.
Okay. I can think of national cultures where contrarianism is expected, and I can think of other national cultures where it's definitely not expected.
Yes, but I'm looking for not to be stuck in one culture to another. I'm talking about synchronization and this bridge. So whatever we have our culture. So again, this model I apply for global students, for global talents, and it's my passion, obsession, because I am one of those. But I also have passion for veterans. I have many friends who came out from military service, and they're from different culture. They're American, they come to the market, and what then? They again talk the same stuff, start over. And when they start over, they feel foreigners in their own country. Everybody say like, thank you for your service. But synchronization is missing. So I actually apply this concept not just to national cultures, but the difference in cultures in higher level.
I mean, I'm not really disputing it. What I'm saying is I think it's a great idea, and I think that universities should be producing people who are contrarian. They should be producing people who are not, who are able to evaluate and able in the right kind of way to express that evaluation that doesn't necessarily imply immediate agreement, but it involves exploring and discussing and resolving. And so I think that kind of point may be harder to express, harder to persuade certain people to do than other people. And so it's
very much, very much. And, oh, okay, so I will come again to the slide. Maybe I was wrong to give Q&A already.
Yes.
I still have time, so I will show you Alex's video.
15 more minutes, yes.
I started later. So, is boutique employability for you? So, story. I offered to each of my capstone courses this model. Like on top of the strategy course, I put one more course, your personal strategy. And it put double pressure on me and double pressure on students, and the vast majority were just like, finally, the course which talks about what I need most right now, like what is my place on the market, how I outreach my company, etc. And the vast majority of cases, it was extremely positive and grateful, and all the students became my friends after graduation. One student came to my office, and she said, like, I hate it. And I was kind of impressed, because, students saying to professors that I hate it, it's already kind of like impressive. And just like, wow, why? And
Contrarian, as Professor Mugen pointed out.
Was crispy, bold communication, exactly what it's supposed to be. And I was grateful. I was just like, wow, very impressive. Like why, what? And she said, like, I am graduating in accounting. And her last semester. And she already got a job in a state-owned enterprise in their home country. And their parents already got the job. And she really is not interested in making any boutique employability. She just wanted a job, then children, then husband, then children, then retirement. That's it. That's what she wanted. She didn't want to take ownership for this. She was psychologically not ready or professionally not ready. That's why I developed the test, is boutique employability for you? And honestly, it saved my life. Because it's like people taking this, and one of the quadrant, minus, is just like, no, thank you, give me a job. Like, hey, Northeastern, I paid you money, give me a job. Just like, sorry, it's not about employability. It's different. And it's not what I think we should really even offer, even promise. And only people who are interested in taking psychological readiness and professional readiness, then they come to this. They can assess their own strategies, what kind of personal strategies they actually use. When they trying to define themselves, do they come from the market or do they come from themselves? And this is what I developed the questionnaire, the survey, personal strategy, using the concepts of emergent strategy or attendance strategy and mindfulness. Social strategy, how we attend, like we are in this room full of people. Career fair, right? Networking events. We offer them, and then this student comes. What does he do? Does he stay with a group of people who they know, or they really trying to go, etc.? So when they go, what they do beyond just giving the card? What else? And this is what I really challenge them to ask themselves, how do I navigate my social strategy? Professional strategy, again, am I more like project manager or I'm more like a problem solving? Am I more like specialized or I'm more like multidimensional? This is all choices we have to make. It's all about the choices. But when we make all of them, gosh, global students unstoppable. They are amazing. So, and this is why we offer them the courses. But I spent like several years talking about them. But they make change in academia. It's like more difficult just than to move a cemetery from one place to another, right? So it's really hard. So that's why last year I approached City of Boston and I asked, let's do consultathon, BH consultathon, where we bring together people who want to have experience with the companies who just enjoy free service, free consulting service. And City of Boston was very, very much into. Besides, I suggest them, like, can I please write a case about you? And they just like, yes, please. So I wrote the case, and everything happened. And this is what we are thinking right now, is a platform where students who need experience, talents who need experience, local connections, local people who can say, for my company, they made something local. And these companies need help, and it's mostly small businesses, or sometimes large businesses, but specific departments who just don't have resources for this, but we have. So they have experience, we have resources, like, duh, combine them, maybe much easier. And the last one, yes, so like making this community of people who keep each other accountable, who ask like, hey, you have your 5 different dimensions of how wonderful you are. Can you please, did you combine them together or not yet? So this lack of accountability, even yesterday we talked with one of the students who asked, like, it would be great to have a mentor. Maybe not a mentor. Maybe the body like you, who is right here, and you together think just like, how do we crack this market? It's like hackathon. That's why I call this consultathon, because it's a hacking this market with a wonderful, wonderful skills you have. So, video, like how do I do video? Anthony? Yeah, so just click it. Yeah, I think it might work.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex Crichton. I'm an international alumni from Northeastern Damar-Mackin Business School, and I'm really happy to be virtually there with you to share my experience as an international student in the US. My international experience actually started a bit before, when I decided to move from France to go to Malaysia for my bachelor degree. My goal there was to improve on my social skills and my soft skills. And I also built on my ability to adapt and solve problems in another country. After this experience, I was really motivated to go from international to global. And that's why I decided to broaden my perspective and go from Asia to Northern America. I did my master's degree in the US, knowing that studying in the US will give me the opportunity to work in the US under an OPT visa. I soon enough realized that it would be challenging to work in the US, and it was really challenging to work in the US. I arrived in a country where I didn't have any network, I didn't know the rules, and also I was competing with local people to find a job. It was really hard. I was just working my ass off to get a job, to connect with the right person. I was attending all the career fair in Boston, all the networking events in Boston. I was applying online, thousands of applications a day, calling people all the time. I had an Excel file with all the people I had to call. And I was just looking at it every day, saying that, oh, I need to reach back to this person I haven't called for like a week. They probably forget about me. I need to put myself out there. I need people to see me, so I will finally get a job. And what helped me a lot into this process was to apply Professor Ivy methodology, and specifically one point was about knowing yourself. I spent a lot of time thinking about my future me, what I want to do, where I want to be, what kind of things I want to bring to the world, and knowing that helped me after to target the right network, to sell myself better, and to have a long-term vision of what I want to do as a professional. With this idea, I went to different networking events, and I was more able to talk about my project, and so I was more convinced as well. After applying to a lot of jobs, after meeting all those people, I finally got a job in the US thanks to a French network. I got a job in the Greentown Lab under the OPT visa, and I worked there for 8 months before coming back to France, and then I wanted to pursue on this internationalization. And I decided to apply for a job in Dublin. And I got a job in Dublin. That's where I'm working right now. That's why I can't be with you today. But I'm still looking for international experience. And being there, it's also an or another perspective of what being international means, but another subject. What really helped me as an international student in the US was to build this network. I found it hard to find support in the US. And that's why afterward, Professor Ivy and I decided to work on a case study about international students in the US to try to understand why there is no bridge between international students and US companies, and what international students are looking for comparing to what a US company are looking for as well. And it turned out that international students have a lot to offer to US companies, specifically in terms of diversity inclusion, in terms of creativity and innovation. The Boston Consulting Group show in one of their research that ethnic diversity rise innovation in companies. The National Funding of America say that immigrants who are international students in the US founded startups that value more than $1 billion. So we have abilities up there as international person. We have a global mindset. We have the ability to adapt, to solve problems, because when you're in another country all by yourself and you're able to adapt, that means that you know how to put yourself out. You know how to be courageous, to fight for something that you really want. You know how to make things happen, and which are key elements for company right now. So if you want to learn more about the research Professor Ivy and I have done, you can just contact me. I'm Alex Crichton. You can find me on LinkedIn, or I can share my email with you if you want. You can ask Professor Ivy about it. And if there is one thing I want to tell you right now, it's don't be afraid of putting yourself out. The earlier you start, the better it is. You need to meet people, you need to know what you want, and meet the people who will help you to achieve your goal. If you have that, you already have the determination because you are here, so you have all the key elements to succeed. And being successful maybe means for you having a job in the US, or it could mean having a job somewhere else. But know what success means to you, and you will be successful. Thank you.
Okay, so this is Alex, and again, 600 plus students were through my methods and from 22 countries, and it's sometimes they use this for establish their space in United States, or sometimes they want to establish their space in their own country, which is wonderful, but not just get a job, but really come to much larger level. And so, Alex, after the very hard thinking, and this is the hardest part, to define who you are, like your core. After talking again and again, she defined herself as her core, as a pro, as a social justice and mobility-based project in the place it needs most. This combined her multi-dimensional pieces, like in one crispy message, because she was so driven with social justice. But also, it should be not just in the cities like New York. It should be everywhere. This is her second passion. And this is what she wanted to do. Because her background was international management, which really didn't distinguish herself in the market until she defined this. When she defined this, we made the second step. She did a consulting case, exactly what I just told you, for the company, which she found through XN project, through wonderful resources our Northeastern already have. All you have to do is just take ownership for this. So she outreach XN project. No, I suggested her that XN project there, but it's all was her. And she had very simple criteria. The project must fit this her core as a pro, because in that way, it would become her stepping stone in her own journey, in her future her. So the project was about our own Northeastern PhD student who developed the breathing equipment for newborns. And he wanted to bring this equipment to Ghana. And most important, this equipment was for mobile. So these babies don't have to go to the hospital, but can be at home and can be treated at home. So doctors can take it and go there. So for Alex, it was check, 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 perfect. International management and all her core as a pro. She made this as a her capstone project. And of course, she started to sound so different. It was totally different Alex at the end of this project because she knew how to communicate the language of the industry. She knew how to define what she is an expert in, what kind of problems she can do. So she invested in her personal capital when she defined herself, in her social capital when she outreached this guy, Solomon, and she offered this. And she discussed with him, and she met him like several times, and it becomes her kind of like connections in the United States. But also in professional capital when she solved this problem, when she provided him with a very specific how-to strategy, how he can enter Ghana market with this project, with his project. However, at the end, as you see, it didn't give her a job. It didn't. She still had difficulties to find the job. And reflecting from this experience, I asked, like, Alex, what did we do right and what we should have done differently? And she said, like, it was amazingly right decision to make this consulting case because it was a different Alex, much more mature, much more confident, much more professional. However, if she would do it again, she would choose the company where she would like to work. That company was just a student case for her because that guy didn't even have employment. It was a startup with no employees. She said, like, the only something she regrets, she should have time, kind of, and maybe outreach even higher because her project was amazing. It still helped her because Solomon recommended her. He gave her wonderful references. He gave her wonderful feedback on LinkedIn. But again, it would be even better if she would be more even strategic. After this, when she finished this, she wanted to continue to be, as she said, international management. She wanted to keep her profile as a BH. Boutique Employability means that I am international and I know how to be international. So I asked her, like, if she wanted to write like article, a blog, and she just like, yes, absolutely. And I posted the blog in BH website, which she and I shared everywhere. Again, it's one more stepping stone in her own profile. She didn't write the blog about, I don't know, health issues, because it's not her core as a pro. Her core is a pro international management and how to be successful. So this is a blog. And then, already from Dublin, this year, as I said, I did this consultathon with City of Boston, with the mayor's office, City of Boston. And it was for East Boston, connecting the small businesses, immigrant-run small businesses, mostly with Latino community. And millennials, educated millennials, help them, whoever these millennials are. And I asked Alex to be a case captain because she already know my methods, she already so good, et cetera, et cetera. And at the beginning, she was kind of like, affluent millennials doing something, it's not my drive, Dr. Julia. And just like, what is your drive? And I just like, Alex, you decide, but this is like small businesses. It's an immigrant community, and they live in East Boston, where all these wonderful people from financial district come and gentrify this area. And she's like, okay, I'm in. So immediately, because it fits her core as a pro, she found her own kind of passion again. And this is the group she joined. She was a case captain of group of 5 actually people. And one of them was our MBA student who just volunteered. And Tim, thank you very much for publishing again and again this announcement, because there were like half of the people were our MBA students, half of the participants. But two other people, you see from top and bottom, they were like volunteers from Financial District. Both of them, she is a very distinguished marketing consultant. He is a very distinguished supply chain management. He just wanted to help his own community because they're both from East Boston. Guess what? They both become connections of Alex, they become friends of Alex, and every next time when she's in Boston, they already have plans for the drink. So, and the final what Alex did is, yes, we wrote this case study, which I would love to share with you. It's already accepted for publication by Sage Business Collection, which is, again, it's a nice stepping stone for Alex's journey, for her language, for her understanding this environment, for her connection with whoever she wanted to connect in professional level, professional trust, and personal trust. And I guess that's it. And this is what my cry to you from B, BH, E, D, G, E. It's a formula. E plus D plus G plus E. You know, elucidate your core, develop trust, generate value, and excite with your passion. This is your path to boutique employability, which would synchronize you with employers of your choice. And the whole idea of boutique employability, it's like, I'm so sick that somebody choose us. When I was trying to get out of Alaska, I was just like, please choose me, please choose me. And just like, stop it. It's us who choose them. We are unique, we are boutique, we are a value. Like Alexander Hamilton in his, you know, not in his, but in, in this musical about Alexander Hamilton, he said like, who are immigrants? Immigrants make things done. This is what we are known for. So this is like, just take ownership for this. Take your own kind of like power and say like, okay, I am ready to craft my edge for today's professional world. And everything else is just, it's just a work, and you know how to make work done. So thank you.
This immigrant gets the job done. Thank you, Professor Julia Ivey, who is an American citizen now, no longer an immigrant.